Recently, there's been a lot of talk about Google algorithm updates, about SEO, and about AI with ChatGPT and AI content that's starting to look pretty good actually, right? And so what is our place as bloggers? What does our future look like? Now we'll talk a little bit more about AI in another video soon. But for this video, what I want to talk about is one of the important things that we can do to ensure great success as content creators going forward. I have joining me today, Kyle Roof. Now, if you don't know who Kyle is an SEO guy, but he's an SEO guy who really knows what he's talking about. He's spent a decade or more actually in this industry coming to understand search and SEO. This guy has a patent for his scientific approach, his process for how he determines if something truly is a ranking factor in Google's algorithm. So today we're going to go through several different factors, specific things you can do, easy things you can do on your website to help establish EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. This is the thing that's going to continue to set real bloggers apart from fakes and copycats, as well as from AI. So stay tuned as we jump into EAT and how you can make it happen on your website. Hey, Kyle, thanks for joining us today. I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since I first heard from you. So anyway, why don't you go ahead and just give a little brief overview, take a minute here and let everybody know who you are and what you do. Because I think it's really cool what you do. So I'm excited to get to share. So I want them to have a little bit of understanding before we dive in.
Sure thing. So I'm Kyle Roof. I am the co-founder of a SEO agency called High Voltage SEO. We have offices in Phoenix, Berlin, and Melbourne. We do local to national to international to everything in between. I'm the co-creator of Page Optimizer Pro, which is an on-page SEO tool. And I'm one of the co-founders of Internet Marketing Gold, which is an online community where we test Google's algorithm. And then also their courses. I think they're around 40 courses. I think I have 4 courses in there. And I teach SEO. I speak on SEO. I get to travel the world. Speak at international conferences, meet very cool people who are way cooler than me. And I get to do shows like this, which is a lot of fun. And I just do SEO all day, every day. It's really pretty much what I do.
Today, you mentioned wanting to get to talk a little bit about something that I honestly believe in very strongly. I think it's really important from an SEO standpoint. I think it's important from a branding standpoint, and that is EAT. And I'm really excited to hear what you have to share around what things the algorithm seems to actually care about, because I feel like there's a lot we can do for EAT that would be hard to algorithmically measure for Google. And so I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. So why don't we go ahead and dive right in?
But starting with the trust one, because I think that's maybe the most tangible for people. The bottom line here is I think Google is looking at who is responsible for this content? If something were to happen here, who can someone contact? If you were to break it up into a couple sections, I think the first section is this a real business? Because if you're taking money from something you're doing online, you should be a business of some form. The other thing you need to think about too is that Google can't see your site. You have to realize that a bot needs to find things that it can find in order to establish that this is an actual real site and this is a real business. So some of the first things I would look at are putting a local address. Businesses have an address. I can probably hear the groans from all the affiliates that are now listening, because often you work from home or your business is from your home. You don't want to put your home address, and that makes a lot of sense. But real businesses can do that.
And how would you go about implementing that? Is that something you would just put in the footer with contact info, or is that something? So it's on every page, or do you put it on
I would put
contact
it in, I would put it in the
page?
footer, and then I'd make sure I have it on the page that would be my organization schema page. There's not anything set in stone there. That could be your home page, that could be your contact us page, that could be about the company page. Either of those is fine. In addition to the address, you want a local phone number that matches that location. This is important too, because if you get an address that say is a lot of businesses are at that address, and that could be a building kind of thing, standard setup, or if you're using a service that is providing you with a mailbox, having a unique phone number is critical. That shows that it's a different business. With that, I would have an about the company page, which is it talks of the company, and then I would have a separate about the team page that talks about the people in the company. And again, this is the kind of thing that real companies do. But the idea is that these are two separate things, and it shows that a bot can crawl in and actually see that these pages exist on the site.
It's really interesting because, and I'm sorry I had to to jump in because I'm sure there's a lot more even on this. But bloggers for a long time kind of wanted to show I'm just a normal person. I'm not necessarily a company, right? But in reality, like even an individual blogger, they are a business. Once you are making money at this or trying to make money at this, we need to treat it like a business. Real businesses have more authority than random people. I think your articles could probably still have a lot of very personal flair to them. There should be a lot of that to it, but I don't think that conflicts with the idea of having real business and real legitimate information behind it.
You're 100% right. In your articles, you can be very personal, and you can talk about your experiences and what's going on. And I think it's also important to note that it's not having like one specific of these things. Really, what it comes down to at the end of the day is ticking enough of these boxes. Yeah. And these are easy things to tick.
Yep.
You know, they're very easy to get to, so that when the bot comes through and it can find enough of these, then you're going to pass through. If we look at then, is this a real business, kind of in the trust side, the other would be, is this a real website? And certain indicators are pretty easy. One is a current copyright, just copyright with a little C. Very basic, and it's also a super easy thing for a bot to come in and see, like, is this a current copyright or is it 2017? Is somebody caring about this website? There's some other things that I would handle that kind of fall into like real website, just obviously having an SSL, which you have to have, being mobile friendly, we all know that. But then like limited 404s, limited broken links, no 500s, those types of signals that are the real basic ones. And again, it's not anything heavy, you don't have to do massive audits and all that, but just like the normal stuff that you would do, I would just make sure I'm covering. To get into expertise, I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions on this, and do you need an expert writing your content? Do you need a doctor? Do you need a PhD, something like that? And the answer is no, because Google isn't in the value judgment game. Think about it for a second, like what's more valuable, like a degree from Stanford, a degree from MIT, or 10 years worth of experience? Who knows? And I'm confident that Google is not writing an algorithm to try to figure that one out. That's not what they want to do at all. But what they do want to know is that a real person is behind this information, that there's actually somebody there. So like, in that picture, like, hi Steve, like Steve is an actual person. Yeah. Whereas on a lot of these sites, Steve is not. That's a very common thing, that Steve is this person is not real photo, and Steve doesn't actually exist. And I think that's what would give Google some heartburn, where essentially the person that is writing the content, who knows who that person actually is. So really what you need to do is you have to have author pages or bio pages, and you want to have person schema on those pages. Within that schema, you can then start to link to like their LinkedIn page, for example, or places they went to school, they're alumni of. You can put in all kinds of information within the person schema that you can talk about on that bio page to establish that this is a real person. Again, it's not terribly hard.
No, it's not. It's not rocket science at all. It's just fill out the person schema, have a real bio page, and be real.
Yeah. And then the big thing, though, is that when that person writes an article, when they've got that blog post on there, you use author schema and cite back to that page on your site that is where their bio is. So what you're saying is like, this real person wrote this article and this is their real information. Right. And you continue to link from there. You can also, on that like about the team page, you can also link from there to their author bio page as well. So like kind of the signal of this is the team. Again, even if it's a team of one, that's fine. And then it goes to that page where the person schema is, and then every time Google reads their article, go back to and verify that they're an actual person.
What's the best way to do that then? So on each article, there's usually most themes will have built in a little about the author box, or just within there, do you just link to it, or is there a schema that you use to show the same as or something to show this is the same person?
Within that, a lot of when you're doing the article schema, within that you can put in who the author is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like an author card. And within that would be the author schema that you can put in, and then you can source your bio page. And the last one would be authoritativeness.
Yeah. Yep.
And I know some people are like, aha, here's where I need an expert. And again, not really. What I think authority comes down to in this scenario is topical authority or topical coverage. Have you answered all the questions that someone would have about this particular thing? Is this something where if somebody gets to your site and they're looking at this particular thing, can they find the answer there? That's kind of what we're looking at. And so strategies, you want to kind of implement strategies in order to get that topical coverage, to say that you are the authority because the answer is here. I personally like to use supporting pages. So I've got my target pages where I spent the time to really optimize those pages, and the technique that I like to use, or whatever I'm going after. And then I'm going to build out, say, 5, 7 type of pages that they're only living to support my target page. I'm going to do like the people also ask type things and then link up to that target page. I'm going to create a little virtual silo out of that. And that creates a very strong signal, like this is what we're talking about. This is what's on this site.
So are you to signal to Google, as well as I think just from a functional standpoint for users, with those supporting pages, are you just interlinking from each of those pages to the main page and vice versa? Is there anything else that you're doing to signal that they go together and support one another? Is it mostly just interlinking? And
so what I'm doing is I'm linking within the body. So they're contextual links. I don't really care about the menu, the sidebar, the footer. These are links within the body. Within all of them, I'm going to try to get a link to the target page in that first paragraph. And then I'm going to link to each other. It kind of covers the big things. One other thing I would mention, a little secret weapon, is an HTML sitemap. Not just an XML sitemap that you would submit to Search Console, but an actual page on your site that is a sitemap. The number one way that Google likes to find a page is through a link, and that can be a link on your own site. And so it's to your benefit to have a page that lists the links on your site so that Google can get in there and crawl around. Because it's one thing to like put all this stuff out there. It's quite another for Google to crawl it and index it and understand it. And you want to make things as easy as possible for Google, and an HTML sitemap can do that for you. So I just make sure it's updating automatically as you launch a page, that it will put the link in. But way back, we ran a test. One of the testers in IMG ran this where they put up the page with 1,000 links to 1,000 orphan pages, and Google crawled the page and indexed all those orphan pages from those links.
Wow. Yeah.
So you can get very large HTML sitemaps, and that's not a problem for very large sites, and Google will eventually get through it and crawl it, and it gives you that ability for Google to get in and index all those pages.
For everybody watching, this is a fantastic checklist. Like, go through these things and just do them, because nothing that we've talked about, nothing that you've shared today so far is difficult. I mean, these are all kind of like, verify that this is happening on your site and then move on, right? Checking for broken links and that kind of stuff, and answering comments. But other than that, a lot of this stuff is sort of set it and forget it, and then maybe every so often audit and make sure things aren't broken. It's not complicated. That's awesome. Well, thanks, Cal. Where can people go to follow you? What's the best place for people to see what you're doing and just learn more about what you do?
They can go to kyleroof.com. I own
it. Yep. Well, Kyle, this was a pleasure. I hope to get other opportunities to chat with you and maybe see you at some events and things in the future. But thank you so much for taking the time to share this with our audience, and I guess just keep up the awesome work. Super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty cool, right? Look, at Income School, we focus a ton on content, and content is key. If you don't have great content and you're not writing about the right things, you're never going to get real traffic from Google search, because you're not ever going to really rank for anything. However, oftentimes people are doing all the right stuff when it comes to content creation, and we may just be missing out on a few of these SEO factors, these EAT factors, that cue to Google that we really are a legitimate and authoritative source for that information. So let's make sure that we do these things. Now, you didn't get to see the whole interview in this video. There's only so much we can pack into a YouTube video and have it still be like a really engaging, compelling video. But if you're one of those people who really wants the whole thing, and if you are, first of all, congratulations, because you probably have the right mindset to succeed at this. If you want to hear all of it, then I want to invite you to watch the rest of the video. The way to access that is make sure that you're on our email newsletter. For those of you who already are, you got an email in your inbox today. Go look for it, make sure it's there. If it got put in spam or some other folder, put it in your inbox so you don't miss those from us in the future, where we're going to be able to share some really cool, some of the behind the scenes and some of the more detailed stuff that we're creating that doesn't all make it into a YouTube video. Now, if you're not already on our email newsletter and you're afraid you missed it, it's okay. If you go to incomeschool.com/EAT, you can sign up, and the very first email you get will have this video in it. So you'll be able to watch the entire interview and make sure you don't miss out on more of the really helpful, informational, as well as tutorial and guiding content that we're going to be able to create for you, especially with these cool projects we're working on with our project charity site, as well as our project Double Time, right? I'm going to be able to provide some more behind the scenes information and details to those of you who are in the email newsletter than I'll be able to share just out here on YouTube. Again, there's only so much I can put out. So anyway, I hope that you'll sign up for that and that you'll stay connected with us. If you're not subscribed to the channel, this is where you want to be to make sure that you're learning how to create awesome content and drive real traffic to your website. And other than that, I hope you have an awesome day and that you'll join us again in our next video.